The alarm bells rang through the Velthara medical complex like an angry scream. Red lights flashed across the white walls of the emergency bay. Dr. Hyunwoo looked up from his medical tablet and felt his heart beat faster. He had worked at this space station for 3 years now, but emergency calls still made his blood pump hard. "What's happening?" asked Dr. Velis, rushing into the room. The Tharxian doctor had 4 long arms and eyes that looked like purple crystals. His voice sounded like wind chimes in a storm. "Cargo ship attack. Pirates got them near the asteroid belt," Hyunwoo said, reading the incoming message. "Multiple casualties. 1 critical patient coming to us now." Nurse Kara floated through the wall. She was a Neptulian, made of glowing blue gas that moved like smoke and water. Her voice came from somewhere inside her cloudy form. "Is it bad?" Oh no. I hate pirate attacks. They're always so messy." The docking bay doors hissed open. 2 rescue workers pushed a stretcher through the entrance. On it lay a young man, unconscious and bleeding. His work uniform was torn and burned. His dark hair was wet with sweat and blood. "Human male, approximately 28 years old," one rescue worker said. His name was on his badge, but nobody paid attention. Everyone looked at the injured man. "Found him in a damaged cargo bay. Explosive decompression. He was floating in space for almost 10 minutes before we got the hull breach sealed." 10 minutes? Dr. Velis's crystalline eyes went wide. "Impossible. No species can survive that long in vacuum." "Humans can," Hyunwoo said quietly. He moved to the stretcher and checked the man's pulse. Still beating. Weak but steady. "Get him to scanner room 2 now." They rushed through the corridors of the medical station. The Velthara complex was the biggest hospital in this part of the galaxy. Doctors from 50 different species worked here. The station orbited a beautiful blue planet called Velthara Prime. Through the windows, Hyunwoo could see the planet's 3 moons hanging in space like pearls. But he didn't have time to enjoy the view. The injured man needed help fast. In the scanner room, they lifted the patient onto the medical bed. Machines hummed to life around them. Blue light washed over the unconscious human from head to toe. Data started flowing across the screens. Dr. Velis read the results and made a choking sound. This cannot be accurate. Run the scan again." "What is it?" Kara asked, floating closer to the screens. "His skeleton is fractured in multiple locations. I count 17 separate breaks. Ribs, left arm, right leg, collarbone, 3 vertebrae in his spine." Velis's forearms moved in different directions, pointing at different parts of the scan. "He has internal bleeding in 2 places. 1 lung appears to be punctured. Severe tissue damage throughout his body." Hyunwoo studied the scans carefully. Yes, it looked bad, very bad, but not impossible. Not for a human. "We need to prepare end-of-life protocols," Velis said sadly. His voice became soft, like gentle wind through grass. "Make him comfortable. There is nothing we can do. His body is too damaged." "No," Hyunwoo said firmly. Both Velis and Kara turned to stare at him. "What do you mean, no?" Velis asked. "Look at the scans. His structural integrity is compromised in 17 places. For my species, even 5 broken bones means certain death. Our bones never heal. They shatter like glass and stay shattered." "He's not Tharxian," Hyunwoo said. He started pulling up medical equipment and supplies. "He's human, we heal. Our bones grow back together. Sometimes they grow back even stronger than before." "That sounds like fantasy," Velis said, but he sounded uncertain now. Hyunwoo rolled up his left sleeve. He showed them a long scar on his forearm. 5 years ago, I went skiing on Earth. Hit a tree at high speed. Broke both bones in this arm, 3 ribs and my collarbone. I was in surgery for 6 hours. 3 months later, I was back to normal." Kara floated in circles, her gaseous form swirling with agitation. But 17 breaks, and the internal damage. How can anyone survive that?" "Humans are tough," Hyunwoo said simply. He began setting up an IV line. "We come from a death world. Earth is a planet that tries to kill everything living on it. Strong gravity, extreme weather, dangerous animals, diseases everywhere. We evolved to survive damage that would destroy most other species." Dr. Velis moved closer to the scanner screen. His crystalline eyes reflected the blue light as he studied the images again. "I have read about death world species in medical journals, but I thought the descriptions were exaggerated. Stories meant to scare young doctors." "Not exaggerated," Hyunwoo said. He checked the patient's vital signs again. Heart rate steady, blood pressure low but stable. This man will probably live. The question is how well we can put him back together. You truly believe he can survive this? Velis asked. I know he can, Hyunwoo replied. I've seen worse. My sister once treated a construction worker who fell 6 stories, broke 23 bones. He recovered and went back to work a year later. Nurse Kara made a sound like wind whistling through a canyon. It was her species' way of expressing shock. Your species is terrifying. Hyunwoo smiled a little. We prefer to think of ourselves as resilient. The patient suddenly groaned. His eyes moved under his closed eyelids. He was starting to wake up. Quick, prepare sedatives, Velis said urgently. The pain will be unbearable. We must keep him unconscious. But before anyone could move, the young man's eyes opened. They were dark brown and confused. He looked around the room, seeing the alien doctors and the strange medical equipment. His gaze finally settled on Hyunwoo's familiar human face. Where am I? The man whispered. His voice was rough and painful. You're safe, Hyunwoo said in Korean, then switched to Galactic Common so the others could understand. You're at Velthara Medical Complex. There was an accident. Do you remember? The man thought for a moment. Pirates, explosion, I remember floating. He tried to move and winced. Pain crossed his face. Ah, that hurts. Don't move, Hyunwoo said gently. You have multiple injuries. We need to examine you properly. How bad is it? The patient asked. Dr. Velis stepped forward. Young human, you have 17 fractured bones and serious internal injuries. By all medical logic, you should not be conscious right now. You should not even be alive. The man on the bed was quiet for a moment. Then he said something that made everyone in the room freeze. Oh, that's fine. 3 words, spoken calmly, as if he was commenting on the weather. Dr. Velis's forearms dropped to his sides. Nurse Kara stopped floating and hovered in place like a frozen cloud. Even Hyunwoo felt surprised by how casual the patient sounded. Fine, Velis repeated. Did you hear what I said? 17 broken bones. Yeah, I heard you, the man said. He tried to smile, though it looked more like a grimace. Sounds bad. But I'm still breathing, right? So it could be worse. And that was when Dr. Hyunwoo knew this was going to be an interesting case. Dr. Velis asked for the patient's name 3 times before the young man could answer through the pain. His name was Dae-sung. He worked as a cargo technician on transport ships moving goods between planets and space stations. He was 28 years old and came from a city called Busan on Earth. Dae-sung, we need to run more detailed scans, Hyunwoo explained. The images we have show serious damage to your body. We need to know exactly what we're dealing with before we can help you. Do what you need to do, Dae-sung said. He tried to sound brave, but his voice shook a little. Pain did that to people, even tough ones. They moved him to the advanced imaging room. This scanner was special. It could see inside a body down to the smallest detail. It could show bones, muscles, organs, blood vessels, and even find problems smaller than a grain of sand. The machine hummed and whirred around Dae-sung's body. Green light this time, brighter than before. The scan took 15 minutes. During that time, Dae-sung lay very still. Sometimes his face would tighten with pain, but he never cried out. When the scan finished, Dr. Velis gathered all the data onto the main display screen. The image was huge, showing Dae-sung's entire body in perfect detail. Every bone, every organ, every damaged part glowed in different colors. By the ancient stars, Velis whispered. His crystalline eyes reflected all those colors, making them look like tiny galaxies. Hyunwoo stood beside him and studied the display. He had seen bad injuries before, but this was definitely serious. The damage report was long. 4 ribs on the left side were cracked. 2 ribs on the right side were completely broken. The left arm had a spiral fracture, which meant the bone had twisted and snapped. The right leg had 2 breaks, one in the shin and one in the thigh. The collarbone was fractured on both sides. 3 bones in the spine showed hairline cracks. Both hands had multiple small fractures in the fingers. One ankle was badly sprained with possible bone chips. 17 major fractures confirmed, Velis said, his voice flat with shock. Plus approximately 12 minor fractures in the extremities. The left lung has a small puncture wound, likely from a broken rib. Internal bleeding in the abdominal cavity and around the left kidney. Severe bruising across 40% of his body, muscle tears in both legs and the lower back. Nurse Kara made that whistling sound again. This is a medical disaster. How is he even talking to us? Adrenaline, Hyunwoo said. His body released chemicals to help him deal with the emergency. It's numbing some of the pain right now, but it won't last forever. Dr. Velis turned away from the screen. His forearms crossed over his chest in a gesture that meant deep concern among his people. Dr. Hyunwoo, I respect your knowledge about human medicine, but please look at this data reasonably. No patient can survive this level of trauma. Even if we perform surgery, even if we stop the bleeding and set every bone, the shock alone will kill him. His system will shut down. Not a human system, Hyunwoo said. He pulled up his own medical file on a smaller screen. Look, this is my scan from 5 years ago. The image showed Hyunwoo's skeleton after his skiing accident. Bright red marks indicated fractures in his arm, his ribs, his collarbone. The damage looked terrible. I was in worse shape than Daesung, Hyunwoo continued. I had massive internal bleeding. My left lung partially collapsed. I needed 3 blood transfusions. But human doctors on Earth fixed me. And now look. He pulled up his current medical scan. All healed. The bones are actually slightly stronger where they broke and regrew. Velis examined both scans carefully. His scientific mind was working, comparing the before and after images. The bone density increased at the fracture sites. How is this possible? Human bones heal by making new bone material, Hyunwoo explained. When a bone breaks, special cells rush to the area. They build new bone tissue. The body adds extra material to make sure the break is strong. It's like welding metal, but better. The weld becomes the strongest part. Fascinating, Velis said softly, and terrifying. Your species grows back stronger after injury? Sometimes. It depends on the injury and how well it heals. Hyunwoo turned back to Daesung's scans. The point is he can survive this. We need to stabilize him, stop the internal bleeding, and then set the bones properly. His body will do the rest. Nurse Kara floated between them. But what about the pain? Surely he cannot endure such agony for the weeks it takes to heal. We'll manage his pain with medication, Hyunwoo said. But honestly, humans have high pain tolerance. We had to evolve that way. On Earth, if every injury stopped you completely, you'd die. Our ancestors had to keep moving even when hurt, hunt even when injured, survive even in pain. Dr. Velis was quiet for a long moment. His crystalline eyes seemed to glow brighter when he was thinking hard. Finally, he spoke. My people come from a gentle world. Low gravity, soft soil, peaceful creatures. When we break, we die. Our bones are like crystal, beautiful but fragile. We cannot imagine healing from such damage. I understand, Hyunwoo said. Every species is different. What's normal for humans seems impossible to you, but trust me, Daesung can recover from this. What do you need? Velis asked. The question surprised Hyunwoo. It meant Velis was willing to try. First, we stop the internal bleeding. That's the most dangerous part right now. Then we need to drain the fluid around his lung and repair the puncture. After that, we set all the bones and stabilize them with supports. Finally, we monitor him carefully for the next few days to watch for complications. That is a complex surgery, Velis said. It will take many hours. Yes, but it's possible. I've assisted in similar procedures on Earth. Nurse Kara swirled nervously. Should we contact his family? Tell them about his condition? Hyunwoo nodded. Good idea. Daesung, do you have family we should notify? From the imaging room, Daesung's weak voice called back. My sister. Her name is Jiwon. Contact information is in my personal files on the ship. Tell her I'm okay. Don't scare her. You want us to tell her you're okay? Kara asked in disbelief. But you have 17 broken bones. 18 if you count all the little ones, Daesung said, and he actually laughed a little. Then he groaned because laughing hurt. But yeah, tell her I'm fine. Jiwon worries too much. If you tell her it's serious, she'll try to fly here from Earth, and that takes weeks. By then, I'll probably be walking around anyway. Dr. Velis looked at Hyunwoo. Is he joking? Surely he's confused from the trauma. No, he's serious, Hyunwoo said. Humans really do think like this. We downplay our injuries. It's part of our culture, I think. We don't want others to worry. Your species is beyond my understanding, Velis said, shaking his head. But very well. We will attempt this surgery. I will assist you, Dr. Hyunwoo. You will lead the procedure since you understand human physiology better than anyone here. Thank you, Hyunwoo said. He felt relieved. Operating alone would have been difficult. They began preparations for surgery. The medical bay transformed into an operating theater. Machines rolled into position. Surgical tools were sterilized and arranged. Nurse Kara prepared medications and monitoring equipment. Before they took Dae-sung to surgery, Hyunwoo went to speak with him one more time. "We're ready," Hyunwoo said. "The surgery will take several hours. We'll fix the internal damage first, then work on your bones." Dae-sung nodded weakly. "Will I be asleep?" "Yes, we'll give you anesthesia. You won't feel anything." "Good, that's good." Dae-sung closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them again, he looked directly at Hyunwoo. "Doc, am I really going to be okay?" Hyunwoo met his gaze and spoke with complete honesty. "Yes, it will hurt for a while. Recovery will be long and difficult. But you will survive this. You'll heal, and eventually you'll be able to work again." "That's all I needed to hear," Dae-sung said. Then he smiled, a real smile this time. "Let's do this." As they wheeled him toward the operating room, Hyunwoo felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Pride in his species. Pride in human resilience. Pride in the simple fact that humans could break and break and break, but somehow, they always found a way to heal. The surgery lasted 9 hours and 43 minutes. Dr. Hyunwoo worked carefully, his hands steady even when exhaustion tried to make them shake. Dr. Velis proved to be an excellent assistant. Having 4 arms meant he could hold instruments, support tissue, and monitor screens all at the same time. They stopped the internal bleeding first. The damaged blood vessels were sealed. The fluid around Dae-sung's lung was drained, and the small puncture in the lung tissue was repaired with dissolvable stitches that would fade as the organ healed. Then came the long process of setting bones. Each fracture had to be aligned perfectly. Some bones needed metal pins to hold them in place. Others just needed to be positioned correctly and wrapped in special medical supports that would harden like casts. The ribs were the most difficult. Broken ribs couldn't be cast like arms or legs. They had to heal on their own while the patient breathed and moved. Hyunwoo could only bind them carefully and hope Dae-sung would rest enough to let them mend. When the surgery finally ended, Hyunwoo pulled off his surgical mask and took a deep breath. His back ached. His feet hurt. But Dae-sung was stable. All the monitors showed good signs. Heart beating steadily. Lungs working properly. No more bleeding. He survived the surgery, Dr. Velis said, wonder clear in his chiming voice. "I truly did not think it possible. The hard part is just beginning," Hyunwoo said. "Now we wait and see how his body responds. The next 72 hours are critical." They moved Dae-sung to a recovery room. The bed there was specially designed for comfort, with soft surfaces that could adjust to support injured bodies. Machines surrounded him, monitoring everything. An IV drip fed medicine and fluids into his veins. Nurse Kara took the first watch. She floated beside Dae-sung's bed, her gaseous form glowing softly in the dim room. "I'll call you immediately if anything changes," she promised. Hyunwoo went to his quarters and collapsed onto his bed. He slept for 6 hours straight, dreamless and deep. When he woke, the first thing he did was check his communicator. No emergency messages. That was good. It meant Dae-sung was still stable. He showered, ate a quick breakfast, and returned to the medical bay. The station's artificial morning light was just beginning to brighten the corridors. Most of the night shift staff were heading to their quarters to rest. In the recovery room, nothing had changed. Dae-sung lay still, his chest rising and falling with slow, regular breaths. The anesthesia would keep him unconscious for at least another few hours. But 2 hours later, Dae-sung's eyes opened. It was too early. Humans usually needed 12 to 16 hours to wake after such extensive surgery. But there he was, blinking at the ceiling, clearly confused but definitely awake. "Don't try to move," Hyunwoo said quickly, moving to the bedside. "You just had major surgery." Dae-sung's eyes found him. Recognition flickered across his face. "Doc, did it work?" "Yes, the surgery was successful. We repaired all the internal damage and set all your bones." Hyunwoo checked the monitors. Everything still looked good. "How do you feel?" Dae-sung thought about that question. "Like I got hit by a cargo ship." "Which I guess I did, in a way." He tried to smile but winced instead. "Everything hurts. But it's not as bad as I expected." "That's the pain medication working," Hyunwoo explained. "We're keeping you on a steady dose to manage the discomfort." Dr. Velis entered the room carrying a medical tablet. He stopped when he saw Dae-sung awake. "Impossible. The anesthesia should last many more hours." "Fast metabolism," Hyunwoo said. "Humans process drugs quicker than most species. We should have adjusted the dosage." "I can hear you talking about me," Dae-sung said. His voice was rough but steady. And I'm fine with being awake. Sleeping is boring. You just had 9 hours of surgery, Velis said, his crystalline eyes wide. You should be resting, recovering, not joking about being bored. What else am I supposed to do? Lie here and cry? Daesung shifted slightly and immediately regretted it. Pain crossed his face. Okay, maybe I should move less. Nurse Kara floated into the room. Oh, you're awake. Is that good? That seems too soon. Should we be worried? He's fine, Yanwu assured her. Humans are resilient, remember? Right. Death world species. Kara swirled anxiously. I contacted his sister like you asked. She was very concerned. What did Jiwan say? Daesung asked immediately. She wanted to know every detail of your injuries. She asked many questions about our medical facilities. She seemed very worried about you. Daesung sighed. Yeah, that sounds like my sister. She's protective. Always has been, even though I'm 2 years older. She said she will try to get time off work to visit you, Kara continued. But the journey from Earth takes 3 weeks at current ship speeds. Tell her not to come, Daesung said firmly. By the time she gets here, I'll probably be healed enough to leave. It's a waste of her time and money. Dr. Velis moved closer to the bed. Young human, I must tell you something. You seem to believe you will recover quickly, but even with your species' healing abilities, injuries like yours take many months to fully heal. Perhaps even a year. A year? Daesung looked shocked. That's ridiculous. I broke my ankle 3 years ago and I was back to normal in 6 weeks. You broke your ankle? Velis repeated. And you recovered in 6 weeks? Well, the doctor told me to rest for 12 weeks. But after 6 weeks it felt fine, so I went back to work. Daesung shrugged, then winced because shrugging hurt. I needed the money. Couldn't just sit around doing nothing. Hyunwoo remembered his own history of ignoring medical advice. Most humans did it. They pushed themselves to heal faster, to get back to normal life. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes it made things worse. But they always tried. Tell me about the ankle injury, Hyunwoo said. How did it happen? I was hiking with my friend Taehyun on Earth. We went to this mountain trail in Gangwon Province. Beautiful place, lots of rocks and streams. I slipped on wet stone and fell about 3 meters down a slope. Landed badly. Heard the bone crack. And what did you do? Velis asked, fascinated despite himself. I sat there for a minute, very angry at myself for being clumsy. Then I stood up, tested the ankle, realized I could sort of walk on it if I was careful. Taehyun wanted to call for rescue, but the trail was only 2 kilometers back to the parking area. Seemed silly to make a big fuss, so we walked back. Well, I limped. Taehyun carried both our backpacks. Nurse Kara made a sound like wind through a tight space. You walked 2 kilometers on a broken ankle? Limped, Daesung corrected. It wasn't that bad. Painful, sure, but I've felt worse. One time when I was 12, I fell off my bicycle and scraped up my whole left side. Road rash, they call it. That hurt worse than the ankle. Dr. Velis sat down in a chair as if his legs couldn't support him anymore. You compare these injuries as if they are minor inconveniences, like getting wet in rain or stubbing a toe. Well, they were inconvenient, Daesung said. The ankle thing meant I couldn't work for a while. Lost income. That was the worst part, honestly. Hyunwoo understood something then. It wasn't that humans didn't feel pain, they did. Every injury hurt just as much as it should. But humans had a different relationship with pain. They acknowledged it, then moved past it. They had things to do, lives to live. Pain was just another obstacle to overcome. Daesung, Hyunwoo said gently. This injury is more serious than your ankle. You need to rest and let your body heal properly. If you push too hard too fast, you could damage yourself permanently. I know, Doc, I understand. Daesung looked at the ceiling. But I can't just lie here for months. I'll go crazy. I need to do something. Even if it's just sitting up or reading or talking to people. We can arrange that, Hyunwoo promised. As you heal, we'll increase your activity gradually. Physical therapy, exercises, movement. But right now, today, you need to rest. How long until I can get back to work? Daesung asked. The question hung in the air. Dr. Velis looked at Hyunwoo. Nurse Kara stopped swirling. Honestly? Hyunwoo said. 6 months minimum. Possibly 9 or 10 depending on how well you heal. 6 months, Daesung repeated. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Okay, I can work with that. You accept this timeline? Velis asked, surprised. What choice do I have? The bones will take however long they take. Dae-sung closed his eyes, suddenly looking tired. At least I'm alive. The pirates could have killed me. Instead, I'm here, getting fixed up by good doctors. I'm lucky. Lucky. After being blown into space, suffering catastrophic injuries, and facing months of painful recovery, this human thought he was lucky. Dr. Velis stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at the stars for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was very quiet. I am beginning to understand why humans frighten the rest of the galaxy. 3 days after the surgery, word had spread throughout the medical station. A human with 17 broken bones was not only alive but awake and talking. Doctors from other departments started finding excuses to walk past the recovery room. Some wanted to see the impossible patient. Others thought the story was exaggerated and wanted to check the facts. Dr. Velis decided to organize a presentation. He invited the senior medical staff to a conference room and asked Dr. Hyunwoo to explain human biology. Hyunwoo agreed, though he felt strange about it. He was just a human. Everything about his body seemed normal to him. 15 doctors attended the presentation. They came from 12 different species. Some sat in chairs. Some floated. One stood in a tank of special liquid because that's what her species needed to survive. All of them looked curious and skeptical. Thank you for coming, Hyunwoo began, standing in front of a large display screen. I know many of you have questions about our patient Dae-sung and how he's surviving injuries that would be fatal to most species. To understand that, we need to talk about where humans come from. He pulled up an image of Earth on the screen. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown continents. It looked beautiful and peaceful from space. This is Earth, Hyunwoo said. My home planet. At first glance, it seems like a nice place. But Earth is what we call a death world. It's a planet that constantly tries to kill everything living on it. A doctor from the Veldrani species raised one of her 6 arms. She had a hard shell like an insect. How does a planet try to kill its inhabitants? In many ways, Hyunwoo said. He changed the image to show a spinning hurricane. Weather disasters. Storms with winds strong enough to destroy buildings. Earth's gravity is also very strong. About 1.3 times what most species consider comfortable. That gravity pulls us down constantly, making our bones and muscles work hard just to stand and walk. He showed another image. A lion chasing prey across a grassland. Dangerous predators. Earth is full of animals that want to eat other animals. Humans are predators too, but we started as prey. Our ancestors had to run from things with big teeth and sharp claws. Next image, microscopic views of bacteria and viruses. Diseases. Thousands of different organisms that can infect us. Our immune systems fight constant battles against invisible enemies. A Neptunian doctor floated forward, interested. But surely all planets have some challenges. What makes Earth special? It's not one thing, Hyunwoo explained. It's everything together. Earth has extreme temperatures. Parts of our planet freeze solid. Other parts are hot enough to kill. We have poisonous plants, venomous animals, earthquakes, volcanoes, floods, droughts, and humans evolved to survive all of it. He pulled up a detailed diagram of human bone structure. This is why our bodies are built the way they are. Our bones are dense and strong. They need to be, to support our weight in heavy gravity and protect us from impacts. When a bone breaks, our body treats it like an emergency. Hyunwoo highlighted certain areas on the diagram. Special cells rush to the break site. Some cells clean away damaged bone material. Other cells build new bone. The body creates extra bone tissue around the break, like building a bridge that's stronger than the original. It takes weeks, but the bone can heal completely. Sometimes it becomes stronger than before the break. Dr. Velis spoke up. Can you explain the timeline? How long does this healing process take? It depends on the bone and the type of break, Hyunwoo said. A simple fracture in an arm might heal in 6 to 8 weeks. A complex break in a leg could take 3 to 4 months. Children heal faster than adults. But all humans can heal from broken bones if they get proper medical care. The doctor in the liquid tank spoke. Her voice transmitted through a speaker. What about the pain? How do humans function with such severe injuries? We feel pain just like everyone else, Hyunwoo said. But humans evolved high pain tolerance because we had to keep moving even when injured. Imagine you're an early human hunting food for your family. You twist your ankle badly. If you stop completely, you might starve. So you push through the pain, limp back home, and rest when you can. Humans who could do that survived. Humans who couldn't died. Evolution selected for pain tolerance. He showed a graph comparing pain thresholds across different species. Humans were near the top. We also have something called adrenaline. It's a chemical our bodies produce during danger. Adrenaline can temporarily reduce pain and increase strength. I've read stories of humans lifting vehicles off trapped people during emergencies. The adrenaline lets them ignore their body's normal limits for a short time. That sounds dangerous, one doctor said. What happens after the adrenaline fades? The pain comes back, usually worse, Hyunwoo admitted. And if someone pushed too hard, they might have caused more damage. But in a life or death situation, surviving now is more important than feeling good later. That's how humans think. Dr. Velas stood up. May I share something I learned? Hyunwoo nodded and Velas addressed the group. I researched human medical history after treating Dae-sung. I found records of humans surviving incredible trauma. One case involved a construction worker who had a metal rod completely pierced through his head. It destroyed part of his brain. But he survived. He lived for many more years. Murmurs of disbelief spread through the room. I also found stories of humans losing limbs and continuing to live normal lives. Velas continued. They create artificial limbs and adapt. There are humans who have had organs removed and survive with mechanical replacements. Their resilience is not just physical. It's mental. They refuse to give up. A young doctor who looked like a bird spoke up. But this patient, Dae-sung, he has 17 broken bones, multiple system trauma. You're saying he'll actually recover? Walk again? Work again? Yes, Hyunwoo said simply. It will take time. He'll need physical therapy to rebuild muscle strength. The bones will ache when weather changes. He might have some permanent stiffness or reduced flexibility, but he'll recover most of his function. Have you told him this? The bird doctor asked. Yes, and he asked how long until he could return to work. Hyunwoo smiled. That's typical for humans. We're always thinking about the future, about getting back to normal life. He showed one final image on the screen. It was a picture of Dae-sung from before his injury, smiling at the camera in his cargo technician uniform. He looked young and healthy and full of energy. This is who our patient was, Hyunwoo said. And this is who he'll be again. Maybe not for 6 months. Maybe not for a year. But he'll get there. Because humans don't stay broken. We heal. After the presentation ended, doctors crowded around Hyunwoo with questions. How did human pain medication work? What was the best way to treat a human patient? Were there any injuries humans couldn't recover from? Hyunwoo answered as well as he could. But the most common question surprised him. Are all humans like this? A doctor asked. Or is Dae-sung special? Dae-sung is completely normal, Hyunwoo said. Any human would react the same way in his situation. We're taught from childhood that injuries happen. You deal with them and move on. My mother worked in construction for 40 years. She broke her wrist twice, her ankle once, 3 ribs in a fall from scaffolding. She retired at 65 and now spends her time hiking in mountains. She's healthier than people half her age. He thought about his nephew, Minho, who fell down a flight of stairs when he was 8 years old. Bumped and bruised, certainly scared, but he got up and kept playing. He thought about his friend's grandmother, who survived a car accident at 70 years old, broke her hip, had surgery, and walked again within 3 months. Humans break, Hyunwoo said, but we're very good at healing. It's what we do best. Later that evening, Hyunwoo visited Dae-sung in the recovery room. The young man was sitting up in bed, which was progress. He was reading something on a tablet, his face concentrated. What are you reading? Hyunwoo asked. Job listings, Dae-sung said. Trying to figure out what I can do while I recover. Maybe desk work, data entry, communications officer, something that doesn't require me to lift heavy things or walk around much. You're planning your next job before you've healed from your current injury? Have to think ahead, Doc. Can't make money lying in a hospital bed. Dae-sung looked up and grinned. Don't worry, I'm not planning to work tomorrow. But maybe in a few weeks I can do something light. Keep my mind busy. Hyunwoo shook his head, but he was smiling. This was so typically human. Always planning, always moving forward, never staying still for long. The presentation went well, Hyunwoo said. The other doctors are starting to understand humans better. Good, Dae-sung said. Maybe next time a human shows up here broken, they won't panic so much. Maybe, Hyunwoo agreed. Then he added, though with humans, there's always a next time. Both men laughed at that because it was absolutely true. Recovery was not a straight line. Some days were better than others. On good days, Dae-sung could sit up without help and eat solid food. On bad days, the pain medication barely worked and every breath hurt his healing ribs. 2 weeks after surgery, Dr. Velis decided Dae-sung was stable enough for physical therapy. The alien doctor had spent those weeks reading every piece of human medical research he could find. His crystalline eyes would glow bright when he discovered something interesting. "Did you know humans can regrow their liver?" Velis asked Hyunwoo one morning. "If part of it is damaged or removed, the remaining tissue grows back, like a plant regrowing leaves." "Yes, I knew that," Hyunwoo said, amused by Velis's enthusiasm. "We can also regrow skin, some nerve tissue, and parts of our digestive system. Remarkable. My species cannot regrow anything. Once broken, always broken." Velis looked sad for a moment. "I think that's why we are so careful with our bodies. We only get one chance." The physical therapy room was on the lower level of the medical station. It was a large space with exercise equipment, walking bars, and soft mats for floor exercises. A robot assistant named PT-7 managed the room. It had 6 flexible arms and spoke in a calm, encouraging voice. They brought Dae-sung down in a floating wheelchair. He looked around the therapy room with interest. "This is nice. Lots of space. We'll start very slowly," Hyunwoo explained. "Just some simple movements to keep your muscles from getting too weak. Nothing that will stress your healing bones." "I'm ready," Dae-sung said. "I'm tired of lying in bed." The first exercise was simple. Sit in the chair and lift one arm forward, then lower it, 5 repetitions. Then the other arm. Dae-sung managed it, though his face showed the effort it took. "Excellent," PT-7 chirped. Heart rate elevated but within safe parameters. "Shall we try leg exercises?" They moved to a padded table. Dae-sung lay on his back. The exercise was to bend his good leg at the knee just a little, then straighten it. His broken leg stayed still, supported by a special brace. On the 3rd repetition, Dae-sung's face went pale. Sweat appeared on his forehead. "Stop," Hyunwoo said immediately. "That's enough for today." "No, I can do more," Dae-sung protested weakly. "You did well for your first session." "Don't push it." Hyunwoo helped him back into the wheelchair. "We'll try again tomorrow." But tomorrow was worse. Dae-sung had a bad night, unable to sleep because of pain. When they came to get him for therapy, he was exhausted and discouraged. "Maybe skip today?" he suggested, something he never would have said before. "No," Hyunwoo said firmly. "Even if we just do 1 or 2 exercises. Movement is important for healing. Your body needs to remember how to work," they compromised. "Just arm exercises today, nothing with the legs." Dae-sung managed 3 sets before he was too tired to continue. The 3rd day was better. The 4th was worse again. Recovery was like that. 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Sometimes 1 step forward and 2 steps back. During one therapy session, Nurse Kara floated in to watch. "This must be very frustrating," she said to Dae-sung. "You seem like someone who is usually active." "Very active," Dae-sung agreed, breathing hard after a set of arm lifts. "I used to play football back on Earth. Soccer, some people call it. I was on a recreational team. We played every weekend." "You moved a ball around with your feet?" Kara asked, fascinated. "That seems difficult. It's fun. Running, kicking, trying to score goals. Good exercise." Dae-sung smiled at the memory. "My team wasn't very good, but we enjoyed ourselves. After games, we'd go eat together. Laugh about our mistakes. Plan for next week. Will you play again?" Kara asked. "After you heal?" Dae-sung was quiet for a moment. "I don't know, maybe. Depends on how well my leg heals. But even if I can't play, I can watch. I can coach younger players. There's always something you can do." That attitude impressed everyone who worked with him. Dae-sung never complained about what he'd lost. He focused on what he could still do, what he might do in the future. One day, Dr. Velis brought in a special device. It looked like a glove made of light, glowing blue and humming softly. "What's that?" Dae-sung asked. "Bone stimulator," Velis explained. "It sends specific frequencies of energy through your bones. We use it on some species to encourage healing. I researched whether it works on humans. The data suggests it might help." "Let's try it," Dae-sung said immediately. They placed the device around his broken arm. The feeling was strange, Dae-sung said, like tiny bubbles moving through his bones. Not painful, just weird. He wore it for 30 minutes each day. 3 weeks after starting the treatment, new scans showed improvement. The fractures were beginning to bridge. New bone material was forming. The healing was happening faster than expected. "The stimulator is working," Velis said, excited. "Or perhaps human bones simply respond well to this frequency. I'll write a paper about this. This could help other human patients in the future." During the 4th week of recovery, something happened that surprised everyone. Daesung asked if he could walk. "Absolutely not," Hyunwoo said. "Your leg is not ready." "Not the broken leg," Daesung said. "The other one. It's getting weak from not using it." "Can I try standing? Just for a minute? With support?" Against his better judgment, Hyunwoo agreed. They brought Daesung to the walking bars, metal rails at waist height that patients could hold for balance. PT-7 stood ready to catch him if he fell. Daesung gripped the bars tightly. Slowly, carefully, he shifted his weight onto his good leg. The broken leg stayed in its brace, not touching the floor. For just a moment, he stood on one foot. The effort made him shake. Sweat dripped down his face. But he stood there, teeth gritted, determined. 5 seconds, Hyunwoo counted. 4, 3, 2, 1, sit down. Daesung collapsed back into the wheelchair, breathing like he'd run a marathon. But he was grinning. "I did it." I stood up. "That was reckless," Hyunwoo said, but he was smiling too. "Also impressive. Your balance is better than I expected." "Felt good," Daesung said. "Felt like progress." Progress became the most important word. Every small achievement mattered. Sitting up without help, feeding himself, turning pages in a book, lifting a cup of water. Things that seemed tiny but were actually huge victories. Daesung talked a lot during therapy. He told stories about his life on Earth, about his family, his friends, his work. The stories helped distract him from pain and boredom. "My cousin Tae-hyun, the one I went hiking with, he once broke his arm playing basketball," Daesung said one day. "Clean break, needed surgery and a pin, but he was back playing again in 4 months. His doctor said he healed unusually fast. I think all the guys in my family are like that." "Good bones. Good bones," Velis repeated thoughtfully. "Is that a common expression among humans?" "Yeah, it means strong skeleton, heals well. My grandmother used to say she had good bones. She lived to 97 years old, never had osteoporosis or major fractures. Good genes, I guess." Another day, Daesung talked about his mother, Yoonji. She worked construction most of her life. Building houses, offices, roads. Physical labor in all weather. She told me once that she'd broken something every decade. Her 20s, her 30s, her 40s. Each time she healed and went back to work. She's retired now, spends her time gardening, still strong as ever. These stories fascinated Dr. Velis. He recorded them all, building a database of human experiences with injury and healing. The patterns were clear. Humans got hurt often. They healed and continued living. To them, injury was normal, almost expected. By week 5, Daesung could sit up for hours without fatigue. He could use both arms, though the broken one was still weak. His ribs hurt less when he breathed. The doctors reduced his pain medication. "You're healing ahead of schedule," Hyunwoo told him. "The bone stimulator is definitely helping. And you've been following instructions mostly." "Mostly?" Daesung looked innocent. "I heard you tried to do extra exercises when the staff wasn't watching." "Just a few arm lifts," Daesung admitted. "I was bored. Don't overdo it. Healing takes time." "I know, Doc, but sitting still drives me crazy. I need to move, do something useful." That was the human condition right there, Hyunwoo thought. Always needing to be active, productive, moving forward. Even broken and healing, they couldn't really rest. One evening, as Hyunwoo was leaving for the day, he saw Daesung looking out the window of his room. The view showed the planet Velthara Prime, beautiful and blue below. "Thinking about home?" Hyunwoo asked. "A little," Daesung said. "But also thinking about the future. Where I'll go next. What ship I'll work on. Maybe I'll learn a new skill while I'm recovering. Programming or communications, something to make me more valuable as crew." "You're always planning ahead." "Have to. Life doesn't wait for you to be ready." Daesung turned from the window. "Doc, thank you. For everything. For believing I could survive this. Some of the other doctors didn't think I would make it." "You're welcome," Hyunwoo said. "But you did the hard part. You healed yourself. I just helped." "Still," Daesung said. "Thank you." Later, walking back to his quarters, Hyunwoo felt proud. Not just of his medical skills, but of Daesung's determination. Of human resilience. of the simple fact that humans, when broken, found ways to become whole again. 3 months after the accident, Dae-sung walked for the first time. Not standing on one leg, not taking a single step with support, but actually walking. He used a walker, a metal frame with wheels that he pushed in front of him. His steps were small and slow, but he was walking. The entire medical staff came to watch. Nurses, doctors, even maintenance workers heard the news and found excuses to pass by the physical therapy room. They wanted to see the impossible patient achieve another impossible goal. Dae-sung didn't disappoint them. He walked from one end of the therapy room to the other, 20 meters total. It took him almost 10 minutes. Sweat soaked through his shirt. His face showed the intense effort and occasional pain. But he made it. When he reached the far wall, he turned around and grinned at his audience. "See? Told you I'd walk again." The room erupted in cheers and applause. Nurse Kara spun in happy circles, her gaseous form glowing bright with joy. Dr. Velas's crystalline eyes sparkled like stars. Even PT-7, the robot, made cheerful beeping sounds. Dr. Hyunwoo felt something tight in his chest. Pride, relief, happiness all mixed together. He had known Dae-sung would recover, but seeing it happen was different from knowing it would happen. "How do you feel?" Hyunwoo asked. "Tired, sore, incredible." Dae-sung laughed. "I feel alive." That evening, they arranged a video call with Ji-won, Dae-sung's sister on Earth. The time difference meant it was early morning for her. She appeared on screen in pajamas, her hair messy from sleep, but her face lit up when she saw her brother.
"Dae-sung."
"You look so much better." Her voice came through slightly delayed because of the distance. "Are you really okay?" "Better than okay. I walked today. 20 whole meters." Ji-won's eyes filled with tears. "I was so worried. When they first called me, said you had 17 broken bones, I thought I might lose you." "Takes more than a pirate attack to kill me," Dae-sung said, trying to sound casual. "I'm tough. Good bones, remember? Like Grandma. You're an idiot for making me worry so much." Ji-won wiped her eyes. "But I'm glad you're okay. Really glad." They talked for an hour. Dae-sung told her about the medical station, the alien doctors who treated him, the weird but effective treatments. Ji-won told him about family news. Their aunt was getting married. Their cousin Minho's baby had started walking. Normal life continued on Earth while Dae-sung healed in space. "When can you come home?" Ji-won asked. "Not for a while. Maybe another 3 months. I want to make sure I'm fully healed before I travel. And I need to find work to pay for the trip back. Don't worry about money. The family can help." "No," Dae-sung said firmly. "I'll handle it. You all have your own expenses. I'll figure something out." After the call ended, Dae-sung was quiet for a while. Homesickness was hard, especially when healing alone in space. But he didn't complain. He never complained. The next day brought unexpected visitors. A delegation from the Galactic Medical Council arrived at the station. They were an official group that set medical standards across all allied planets and species. 3 doctors wearing formal robes and carrying official tablets came to examine Dae-sung. "We've heard remarkable reports about your recovery," the lead doctor said. "She was a Veldrani, with a hard shell-like armor and multiple eyes. The council wishes to verify the data and possibly study human healing capabilities." "Study me?" Dae-sung asked, uncertain. "Only if you consent," Dr. Hyunwoo said quickly. "You don't have to agree to anything." But Dae-sung thought about it. "If it helps other people, sure." "What do you need?" The council doctors ran new scans, compared them to the original injury scans, and interviewed both Dae-sung and his medical team. They asked hundreds of questions. How much pain did he feel? What medications worked best? How fast were the bones healing? What was his diet? His exercise routine? His mental state? Dae-sung answered everything honestly. Yes, it hurt. Yes, some days were harder than others. Yes, he got frustrated sometimes. But no, he never thought about giving up. That wasn't an option. The council doctors seemed particularly interested in the bone stimulator treatment. They studied Dr. Velas's notes carefully, examined the equipment, and ran tests to understand exactly how it worked on human bones. "This frequency appears to resonate with human bone density in a unique way," the lead doctor said. "It wouldn't work on most other species, but for humans it accelerates healing by approximately 30%. This is a significant discovery." Dr. Velas practically glowed with pride. I plan to publish my findings in the next issue of the Galactic Medical Journal. Please do. And we'd like to recommend this treatment become standard protocol for human patients with bone fractures. The council doctor made notes on her tablet. We should also update medical databases with accurate information about human healing capabilities. Current records are clearly incomplete. During the examination, one of the council doctors asked Dae-sung a strange question. Do you consider yourself exceptionally resilient? Different from other humans? No, Dae-sung said, surprised. I'm pretty normal. Average even. But you survived catastrophic injuries and are recovering at a remarkable pace. Any human would do the same. My friend Tae-hyun recovered from a roof fall in about 4 months. My mother broke ribs and worked through the pain. My cousin healed from a compound fracture in less than 6 months. This is just what humans do. The doctors exchanged looks. They seemed to be realizing something important. He's right, Dr. Hyunwoo said. Dae-sung isn't special or unusual. He represents normal human healing ability. That's what makes this significant. Any human patient with similar injuries would likely recover in a similar time frame with proper treatment. The lead council doctor sat down slowly. We've been treating humans according to standards that apply to other species. We assumed certain injuries were fatal because they would be fatal to us. We've been underestimating human durability. By a lot, Nurse Kara added. I've learned so much about humans in these past months. They're incredible. Before the council left, they spent time reviewing all of Velthara Medical Complex's human patient records from the past 5 years. They found patterns. Humans recovered faster than expected. They survived injuries that doctors had considered critical. They pushed through pain that would incapacitate other species. We need to revise medical protocols across the entire Galactic Council, the lead doctor announced. Create specific guidelines for treating human patients. Train doctors to understand human biology better. That would be helpful, Hyunwoo said. I've met human patients at other stations who were told they'd never walk again or never work again. But with proper treatment and understanding of human healing, many of them could have recovered better. After the council delegation left, the medical station felt different. Word spread quickly through galactic networks. The station that saved the human with 17 broken bones. The doctors who pioneered new treatment methods. The proof that humans were more resilient than anyone had realized. New services requested interviews. Other hospitals asked for treatment protocols. Medical schools wanted to add human biology to their curriculum. Dr. Velas became something of a celebrity in medical circles. But for Dae-sung, life continued with simple goals. Walk a little farther each day. Build strength back into weakened muscles. Reduce pain medication slowly. Work toward independence. 4 months after the accident, he could walk without the walker. His gait wasn't perfect. He limped slightly on the broken leg. But he could move on his own, and that freedom meant everything to him. I've been thinking about your suggestion, Dae-sung said to Dr. Hyunwoo one day during a checkup. About learning new skills while recovering. I've been taking online courses in ship communications. Turns out I'm pretty good at it. That's great, Hyunwoo said, checking Dae-sung's range of motion in his arm. Planning for the future? Always. I talked to the station manager yesterday. They might have an opening in their communications department in a few months. Light duty, mostly sitting at a console. It would let me work while I finish healing. You want to stay here? Not go back to Earth? Dae-sung shrugged. Earth will always be home. But I'm not ready to stop working in space yet. Maybe in a few years. For now, I want to keep going. That was so human, Hyunwoo thought. Nearly died. Spent months in painful recovery and immediately wanted to get back to work among the stars. Never giving up. Never staying down. Always moving forward. Your bones have healed about 80%, Hyunwoo said, reviewing the latest scans. The rest will fill in over the next few months. You'll probably always have some stiffness in cold weather, and your broken leg might ache before storms. But you'll have full function back. Good enough for me, Dae-sung said. I can live with some aches and pains. As Dae-sung left the examination room, walking steadily on his own 2 feet, Dr. Velas approached Hyunwoo. I wanted to thank you, Velas said, for teaching me about humans. I was arrogant before. I thought I understood biology, medicine, healing, but I didn't understand resilience. I didn't understand the human spirit. You learned fast, Hyunwoo said, and you helped save Dae-sung's life. That's what matters. I've been thinking, Velas said, his crystalline eyes thoughtful. My people see broken as the end. But humans see broken as a temporary state, just a problem to solve, a challenge to overcome. I wonder what my people could learn from T6 months after the pirate attack. Dae-sung was officially cleared for light-duty work. Dr. Hyun-woo signed the medical release form, though part of him still worried. 6 months seemed too soon even for a human, but the scans didn't lie. The bones had healed. Muscle strength was back to 70%. Range of motion was good. Dae-sung was ready. How does it feel? Hyun-woo asked during the final examination. Strange, Dae-sung admitted. He flexed his once broken arm, rotated his shoulder. I keep expecting pain that isn't there anymore. My body remembers being injured even though it's mostly healed. That's normal. The psychological recovery takes longer than the physical sometimes. Hyun-woo made notes on his tablet. You'll probably favor that leg for a while. Avoid heavy lifting for another month or two. But you're cleared for desk work, communications duty, anything that doesn't require intense physical activity. I start in the station's communications center tomorrow, Dae-sung said, grinning. 4-hour shifts to start. They're being careful with me. Good, don't push too hard too fast. Doc, have I ever pushed too hard? Dae-sung's innocent expression made Hyun-woo laugh. Constantly. But that's what makes you human. The next morning, Dae-sung reported to his new job. The communications center was a circular room filled with screens and consoles. Messages came in from ships, planets, stations, and relays across this sector of space. Communications officers sorted them, prioritized them, and sent them to the right departments. Dae-sung's supervisor was a Neptulian named Karis, who floated between consoles checking everyone's work. When he saw Dae-sung, he swirled in a welcoming pattern. You're the human everyone's been talking about, Karis said. The one who survived 17 broken bones. That's me, Dae-sung said. Though I'd like to be known for my communication skills eventually. Fair enough. Let's see what you can do. Dae-sung proved to be good at the job. He was organized, quick with languages, and stayed calm during busy periods. By the end of his first week, his supervisor increased his shifts to 6 hours. By the end of the month, he was working full days. The medical bay had changed too. Dr. Velas's research paper was published in the Galactic Medical Journal and received significant attention. Medical schools across the galaxy requested copies. The Galactic Medical Council officially updated their treatment protocols for human patients. More importantly, other hospitals started sharing their own human patient success stories. A human with a severe spinal injury who recovered and walked again. A human who survived organ failure and lived normally with transplants. A human child who healed from injuries that should have been fatal. The pattern was clear. Humans were far more resilient than medical science had previously believed. The galaxy was learning. 3 months after Dae-sung started his new job, alarms rang through the station again. Another emergency. Another ship in trouble. This time it was a mining accident. An explosion in an asteroid mining operation. Multiple casualties incoming. Dr. Hyun-woo and Dr. Velas rushed to the emergency bay. Nurse Kara was already there preparing equipment. The injured arrived quickly. Most were Veldrani miners with cracked shells and crushing injuries. But one patient was human. A young woman, maybe 25 years old, unconscious and badly hurt. The rescue workers transferred her to a medical bed and handed over their report. Human female. Name is Bora, mining engineer. She was near the explosion. Took shrapnel and was thrown against a wall. Multiple injuries visible. Hyun-woo and Velas went to work immediately. This time they knew what to do. Scan first, assess the damage, don't panic. The scans appeared on the screen. Velas studied them and made a sound that was half surprise, half familiarity. Broken collarbone, 4 fractured ribs, broken wrist, fractured ankle, and possible concussion, Velas reported. Severe bruising but no apparent internal bleeding. 8 major fractures total. Better than Dae-sung's 17, Hyun-woo said, already preparing for treatment. We can work with this. They stopped the bleeding from various cuts and scrapes. They set the broken bones using the bone stimulator that had worked so well before. They wrapped her ribs carefully and put her wrist and ankle in special braces. The whole time, Hyun-woo felt more confident than he had with Dae-sung. He knew what to expect now. He knew humans could survive this. He knew the treatment protocols that worked best. When Bora woke up several hours later, she looked confused and in pain. Her eyes found Hyunwoo's face. "Am I alive?" she asked in Korean, then switched to Galactic Common. "Sorry, yes, alive?" "Yes, you're alive," Hyunwoo assured her. "You were in an accident. You have 8 broken bones and various other injuries, but you're going to be fine." Bora processed this information. She looked at her bandaged wrist, felt the binding around her ribs. Then she said something that made everyone in the room smile. "Only 8? That's not so bad." Dr. Velis actually laughed. "I knew it. I knew she would say something like that." "You know humans now," Hyunwoo said. "I'm starting to, yes." They explained Bora's injuries in detail. The treatment plan, the expected recovery time. She listened carefully, asked good questions, and never once seemed overly worried. "How long until I can work again?" she asked. 3 to 4 months, probably, Hyunwoo said. "That's not too bad. I can handle that." Bora shifted in bed and winced. "Do you have physical therapy here?" "I should stay active during recovery. Helps with healing." "We have excellent physical therapy," Velis said. "In fact, we recently developed new protocols specifically for human patients. You'll benefit from everything we learned." Word spread through the station that another human patient had arrived with serious injuries. Dae-sung heard about it in the communications center. During his break, he visited the medical bay. Bora was awake and alert, already annoying the nurses by trying to sit up against their advice. When Dae-sung entered, she looked at him curiously. "You're human," she said, stating the obvious. "You work here?" "Communications officer." "But I was a patient here 6 months ago. 17 broken bones. 17. That's impressive." Bora actually looked interested rather than horrified. "How long did it take you to recover?" "About 6 months to get back to work. I still do physical therapy twice a week to build up full strength." "Only 6 months for 17 breaks? That's pretty good." Bora smiled. "Makes me feel better about my 8. They talked for a while, comparing injuries like old soldiers comparing battle scars. Dae-sung gave her advice about the medical staff, the physical therapy routine, the best food from the station cafeteria. Dr. Hyunwoo watched them and felt something shift in his understanding. This was normal for humans. Getting hurt, recovering, moving on with life. It happened so often that humans had casual conversations about it. They supported each other through injury with practical advice and shared experiences. Later that day, Dr. Velis called a staff meeting. The entire medical team gathered in the conference room. "We've now successfully treated 2 human patients with catastrophic injuries," Velis announced. "Both are recovering well. Both will return to normal function. This is no longer surprising to us. We understand humans now." He pulled up comparison charts on the screen. Dae-sung's injuries versus Bora's injuries. The treatment protocols used. The recovery timelines. "What we learned from Dae-sung saved time with Bora," Velis continued. "We didn't panic. We didn't assume the worst. We treated her injuries confidently because we knew what to expect." "This is the power of understanding," Nurse Kara spoke up. "Should we create a special human medical unit? A team that specializes in treating human patients?" "I think that's a good idea," Hyunwoo said. "Humans are spreading across the galaxy. More will come to this station. Having staff who understand human physiology will save lives." The proposal was approved by station management within a week. Velthara Medical Complex would become a center for human medical treatment. Doctors from other species could come here to learn. Human patients could come here knowing they'd receive excellent care. Dr. Velis was appointed head of the new human medicine department. He accepted the role with enthusiasm, already planning research projects and training programs. "I want to understand everything about human healing," he said. "Not just bones, but tissue repair, immune response, psychological resilience. Humans are the most fascinating species I've ever studied." Dae-sung continued to recover and work. His limp faded to almost nothing. The stiffness in his arm improved. He took courses and earned certifications in advanced communications systems. 6 months after starting his new job, he was promoted to senior communications officer. He still did physical therapy twice a week, more out of habit than necessity. The therapy room had become a social space for him. He'd meet other patients there, encourage them, share stories of his own recovery. Bora healed faster than expected. Within 3 months, she was walking without assistance. Within 4 months, she was cleared for light duty. She chose to stay at the station too, taking a job in the engineering department. Earth is home, but space is where the work is, she told Daesung one day in the cafeteria.